Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of this 3-part replay between Engineer and me here on Scrap Station. Pretty much Terran versus Terran, trying to mass up, trying to build a larger army, and trying to set up traps against your opponent. Taking a look, we have this single Marine that's kind of hiding behind that Xel'Naga watchtower, standing right there, so it's really difficult to see unless you're really looking for it, but really activating that Xel'Naga watchtower, offering a large amount of sight throughout the whole entire map. Or a very critical portion of this map. Marines and siege tanks sitting down over here. He's sitting at 86 over 86, sitting on 1200 minerals. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on 500 minerals, sitting at 75 over 86, and now going to be building an additional factory in order to get some more siege tanks. Generally, I like to try to go siege tanks and Vikings now in terms of my air versus air combat, or Terran versus Terran combat. The siege tanks can handle a large number of units. When they're unsieged, they're very effective against armored units. When they're sieged, they're effective against all units. And then the Vikings can go from air to ground mode if they need to handle any air force or any ground force. Taking a look back over here, stagnating my two siege tanks just a little bit in order to be able to shoot past each other and perhaps cover more of the field. Coming back, Vikings now continuing to move around. Taking a look at this, we have a very large number. Taking a look at the unit overlay, 24 Marines, 2 siege tanks, a couple of Vikings, and a couple of Banshees, and some medevacs, 4 Engineer. Meanwhile, all I have is just 7 Vikings, 4 siege tanks, 1 Marauder, and 10 Marines. A very large number of units just massing up into this position. So what is this? The Vikings are now no upgrades on those Vikings. Taking a look at my upgrades, I am currently upgrading the weapons, the vehicle weapons, to level 2 for my siege tanks. So my siege tanks will in fact be dealing more damage. Coming back over here, I'm building an additional command center. I need to make sure that I have a better economy than my opponent. So I'm trying to take an additional army, as both of us seem to be fairly turtled at this stage in the game. Gonna go ahead and move out with these siege tanks, with these units, and perhaps try to catch them off guard. Unbeknownst to me though, Engineer is now trying to take down these destructible rocks and trying to move in onto this main position. The Xel'Naga watchtower is not does not give you sight enough to really be able to watch this particular ramp, so these two sets of destructible rocks are going to be taken down fairly quickly. The Marines do in fact have that level 1 upgrade. Taking a look at the Terran armory, my siege tanks are now in fact dealing 65 damage in siege mode. And do I have a non-siege tank? Yeah, a non-siege tank is 17 and 11, so I believe its base is 15 and 10, so that's a 10% increase in terms of damage. Marines still moving around, still trying to figure out what engineering is trying to do. Engineer is still sitting on a very large number of minerals. Also getting an additional command center over here. Engineer is trying to protect his expansion with a large number of Vikings and a large number of Banshees. Sitting over here, I'm trying to go ahead and try to break through these destructible rocks, thinking that, hey, perhaps he doesn't know what I'm doing, but instead he does a quick scanner sweep, and I realize I probably do not want to try to take down these destructible. Actually, do I take them down? I think I do. Actually, I do not take him down, but I'm leaving him down to 300 hit points, so I might as well have just taken him down for my opponent. Coming back over here, a planetary fortress now being brought into position. Planetary fortress, even though it's not against a Protoss or a Zealot, Protoss or a Zerg player, excuse me, and I still believe a planetary fortress does have some of its uses. For one, it is able to fight back against a couple of those Marines, and I think it has a little bit, it may not have additional armor. Now coming back over here, we have those siege tanks coming in to re-engage, and I'm trying to do a little bit of a fight here. Siege tanks now a little bit out of the range of those other siege tanks. I want to try to move overhead and then perhaps land these units. No, but I realize that I'm in a quick trouble here, so I quickly lose a lot of my forces. So 107 food versus 78, and not looking out too well for me. Gonna go ahead and leave these siege tanks next to this Xel'Naga watchtower. Xel'Naga watchtower siege tanks are just so powerful as they're able to fight back more and more. Coming back over here, we have an army of 6 Vikings against an army of 6 Vikings and a couple of Marines as well. Gonna quickly try to focus down one of those Vikings. One of the Vikings getting taken down quickly, and now there's just only 4 Vikings left. Marines now trying to go ahead and finish it off. Marines and siege tanks now trying to move into this particular position, and this is going to be bad news for me, as I realize that he's able to come in through here. He does not want to try to come in through that south side. Gonna go ahead and try to siege up here, trying to come around and then take this particular position. Now I'm going to be in a little bit of a panic mode. Gonna go ahead and transfer these SCVs from one location to another. Because I have this planetary fortress, I was able to transfer all the SCVs over and really still have a very formidable position. Siege tanks now trying to fight back onto that high ledge. Siege tanks and Marines now coming in once again to re-engage. But this back siege tank was able to deal a lot of that damage, take down a lot of those Marines. One siege tank down to 27 hit points. I'm gonna go ahead and try to siege these tanks over here and try to take down these Marines. And I'm gonna be able to push back against Engineer's attack over here. So down goes the rest of his army. I'm sitting at 88 food while he is sitting at 79 now after he lost the brunt of his attack force. He does in fact have a planetary fortress meeting over here. So this planetary fortress trying to mine out, so both of us are pretty even in terms of expansions. Engineer, however, has spread around the map much of his army, so those Vikings and these Banshees would have been very, very helpful earlier in that fight. A couple of siege tanks now moving out, so I have 5 siege tanks, a couple Vikings now moving out, trying to use these to the best of my ability in order to just take down some of these more positioning, take down these positions. Gonna go ahead and try to sucker these Marines into this positioning. So quickly, he's gonna go quickly lose a lot of those Marines as they get too close. So taking down a lot of those Marines out from there. So 9 kills, 8 kills, 6 kills just from this position. And now I'm gonna go ahead and siege up these siege tanks, try to take down some of these units as well. I'm able to hit down that one particular. Am I able to shoot back against that one siege tank? Siege tank is not able to see me. I'm trying to shoot it down. I'm able to shoot it down. Now gonna go ahead and siege up even further. Trying to scan up into that higher ground. Gonna move these siege tanks back from the backside towards that front side. Continue to press on this front door. More siege tanks now trying to come in. But because my siege tanks do in fact have that attack upgrade, Banshees coming in from that backside right now. So Vikings trying to re-engage, trying to at least take down those particular Banshees. The Banshees are a little bit of the issue right now, as those Banshees are just able to deal a lot of damage to my siege tanks. Siege tanks now just trying to ignore them, trying to run up the ramp, trying to take down more of these units, perhaps trying to take down a couple of those missile turrets, as those missile turrets are going to be preventing me from being able to take down any of those units, being able to use any of those Vikings. More Vikings now coming in, getting reinforced. Need to try to land that one particular Viking, but that doesn't work either. So you move the Viking over here, try to take down this one particular missile turret. Missile turret getting focused down to 70, 69 hit points. Going to be able to at least get it to burn down as more Vikings and Marines now trying to come in. Vikings do not have any armor, even in their ground mode as they're engaging. So just trying to run up on this position. And Banshees now coming in with a couple of siege tanks. That's a really, really bad fight for me in particular. Need to go ahead and try to fly away with these Vikings. So Vikings now flying away, and I can once again just try to shoot down some of these units. SCVs in that medevac now once again pulling back out. He's sitting on 3,000 minerals, 75 over 97. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on 1,600 minerals as I'm trying to mass up even more units. Finally getting a reactor on this barracks. Don't have enough gas. Gonna go ahead and lift off this command center, and then am I gonna try to take another command center over here? Yeah, I'm gonna take another command center over here. I think I forget about that command center. That's really my bad there. Also building some more barracks in order to be able to spam more units. Gonna do some long distance gas refining in order to try to help my gas production. So moving around with these siege tanks. And I have a fairly large army over here. I have a large number of Vikings sitting over here as well, wanting to try to figure out where exactly they can go. The Vikings are in fact upgraded in terms of damage. Oh, that's interesting. The Vikings only get +1. Their Viking level 1 upgrade only gives them +1 against air. It does not give them +1 against additional armored. So the Vikings are strong very early in the game, but their upgrades are not nearly as strong as I would have hoped for. I would have thought that it would have been +1 against the base damage, and then an additional +1 against armored units. An additional siege tank now being brought into play, trying to take down this planetary fortress. Planetary fortress down to 1,600 hit points. I was thinking that since my Vikings are up in the air, I should be able to fight back and shoot against these guys. But quickly, those Marines able to take down all of these, take down one of my siege tanks. But still, I'm able to continue to fight back. Planetary fortress down to 16 or 500 hit points. Going to be able to shoot it down, perhaps take it down completely. Down to 400. SCVs now trying to repair it. But yeah, doing a very good job of repairing it actually. But that siege tank, an additional siege tank, going to be dropping in. Siege tank's now trying to, or SCV's now trying to run in. So I'm going to go ahead and land all of these Vikings. Vikings going to be able to just shoot down these SCVs fairly easily, as they're doing 15 damage a shot. And now I'm going to go ahead and go back in the air just in case there's any air attacks or any air any air pushes. Coming back over here, yeah, I did in fact forget that I lifted up an orbital command and tried to put it on this high ground. Stay tuned for part 3 and the conclusion of this replay here on Scrap Station.